so many people turning up for this occasion. It's been an amazing journey. You know, it's normally times like this that I look to my co-founder to give these speeches, because, you know, she's the entertaining one, but there was no co-founder. No one else is crazy enough to do this. And when I left the bureau all those years ago, you know, they told me right to my face, "You're crazy. No one can start a weather business. And who's going to pay? I mean, we do it all for free here, and everyone gets the forecast for nothing. And besides, you've got a 4-month-old baby to worry about." So, yeah, but I saw things a bit differently, probably foolishly, because it wasn't long before I thought that maybe they're right, because, you know, like, I ran out of money after about a year, and as luck would have it, I picked up a job with a big global weather forecasting company called Weather News. And they were based in Japan, founded by this quite eccentric Japanese guy called Hiro Ishibashi. And he founded the business some years earlier, and he had a real passion for commercial meteorology. He turned his little startup into this big global business. And so that was like the best plan B ever for me, because it was like doing a postgrad in commercial meteorology and getting paid at the same time. So pretty soon I built up a pretty nice portfolio of television clients. Things were going along quite nicely, and then suddenly in a restructure, I was unemployed again. And so you know, there I was chilling out on a beach in Cairns. Literally, the phone rang, and it was this guy from Sydney called Richard Finlayson, who many of you here, the Weather 21 people, would certainly remember. He set up this weather channel called Weather 21. And he rang me and said, "I've got this project, Austar want me to run this channel for them, and I've heard that you're the guy." I'm going, "Really?" Well, whoever referred me to Richard, I certainly owe them a beer or two, because you know, without that introduction, we probably wouldn't be here today. So Richard wanted to set up all this infrastructure for this weather channel, and he was proposing to do it all manually. And I said, no, you don't need to do it manually. I can automate the whole thing for you, no problem. And of course, this was all in my head, because nothing actually existed yet. But I knew how to do it, I think. And you know, I managed to persuade Richard that this was the way forward. And it would have been about October 1998 when we signed that contract and the weather company was born. And that company was to, that contract was to build all the weather infrastructure for Weather 21. That was grabbing all the bureau data, which wasn't data at all at the time. It was just like a bunch of text files. So we still had to scrape. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. We had to scrape all that data, or turn it into data somehow. I had to find a company to build me a TV weather graphics system, because I didn't have one. So I found this company in Canberra who could build it in 8 weeks, and then build a website for all the presenters and the meteorologists to share information, to write their scripts and all that kind of thing. So it was a pretty hectic 2 months. I threw everything into it. I sold my house to fund this pretty chaotic project. And then at midnight on the 1st of January 1999, Alan Humphreys, in his well-honed ABC voice, said, "Happy New Year and welcome to Weather 21.
Hello there.
That's right. Now, I don't know how many people were watching. I think everyone was watching the fireworks, right? So it was a pretty safe time to launch a TV channel. It wasn't perfect, but it worked, and things improved quickly from there. I hired my first meteorologist. We were growing pretty quickly, Brett Dusky, who's still with us today. Down there, where is he? Brett's from a winemaking family in the Barossa, so weather is very much in his blood. He decided to make the switch professionally, and it was probably the best thing for us. He's still with us today, been with us every step of the way. Shortly after that, Tracy Marmborg came over from the Bureau of Met. Tracy, hey. And Tracy was our head meteorologist for many years, and really brought a sense of order to the business, which quite frankly was sorely needed at the time. I think I was working 14-hour days, 7 days a week. So we were a pretty small team, just the three of us, but we worked hand in hand with Weather 21. Many of you guys here today, like Alan, as I mentioned, Sarah, Janie Seal, several others, like Victoria. Others that couldn't make it were Annette Greer, Felicity Bateman, Graham Creed, and so on. So we learned a lot from each other. They learned a lot about the weather, and we learned a lot about TV. It was a fantastic working environment. A short time after that, Richard and I went off to the US to visit the Canadian Weather Channel, the Weather Network, the US Weather Channel in Atlanta, and a big TV graphics software company in Wisconsin. And more a fact-finding mission. We learnt so much during that trip. In fact, Richard came back so pumped that he changed the name of the channel to the Weather Channel. I don't think the guys in Atlanta found out about it, but maybe they thought we were too far away to bother. But the other interesting thing and very important thing that Richard did was that he brought the head presentation coach from the Weather Channel over to Sydney to uplift our presentation style. And that made a really significant boost to our on-air product. Changed the style to this kind of human, unscripted storytelling like in the American style, without all the bureau speak that a lot of weather presentations were using at the time. And it really turned us, or Weather 21, into a weather presenter factory. In fact, there's many weather presenters out there today who've had their beginnings in that era. You know, Janie, Graham, Gary Youngbury up in Brisbane, Angela Sun over in Perth, I think Gavin Morris, who's up in NBN Newcastle, all came out of this environment that Richard set up. And it wasn't easy to make all those kinds of changes in that television production environment, but you know, it's made a big impact. It made a big impact on TV weather presentation in this country. Now, the weather company was improving and growing very fast at the time as well. In fact, we were improving so fast that most of the TV networks were using us within a couple of years. It was about that time that Ian Hosking joined us mainly to fix up the quick and dirty database that got us to launch. And Ian set up the database that Ian set up allowed us to deliver data in really flexible formats that really still sets the business apart today. I don't think any other weather business here or overseas companies that have tried to do business here have the capability to deliver weather content like we have. Around the same time, Mr. Buff Miscali joined us, straight out of university, right?
That's right.
Yeah, as our web developer. And Andrew has a real passion for weather visualization. And I don't think there's a product we've made that hasn't had Andrew's golden touch applied to it. So both Andrew and Ian have been with us for 18 years now and have been fantastic contributors to the company, and I thank you very much. So about 1999, we'd only been running a few months when one of our young meteorologists, Paul Graham, made our internal weather site that was used by the Mets and the presenters to do all that briefing. And we tweaked it a little bit and we decided, well, why don't we make this public? So we launched it to an unsuspecting public and we called it Weatherzone. That's when the name Weatherzone was first used. And we didn't know if anyone would use it. They did. And I think a big distinguishing feature was that we put weather radar on the site. And the Bureau hadn't done that yet. The Bureau thought that weather radar was too technical for the public. Even though we've been using it on television for some time, they weren't keen on putting it on the internet. But it made our site extremely popular. In fact, on rainy days, it would simply stop. We just couldn't afford the bandwidth that we needed to keep it alive on those peak days. But Andrew started fixing it up, and the next version and the version after that were more usable, importantly more stable. And then in 2003 we launched a subscription version of Weatherzone. And every year since then it's grown and grown. In fact, when we first launched it, it was probably comfortably the most popular site, weather site in the country behind the Bureau of Met, and today it does about 1.5 billion page views per annum. Since, that's the combined audience, right, Todd? Todd joined us in 2008, and he's been running our consumer area since that time, and is responsible for launching the Weatherzone mobile apps, which came out in 2010?
Yep.
2010, 2011. By far the most popular weather app in the country, and a really important part of our business. And Tom still leads our consumer division. Thanks very much, Todd, for producing Australia's best weather application. Now, by 2006, I know I'm jumping back and forward in time, but you get the drift. 2006, we were servicing dozens of TV stations and websites. In fact, agricultural websites were quite a specialty. And one thing the ag sites wanted were additional weather forecasts that the Weather Bureau didn't do to provide a service to all these small towns where all their farmers were. We found this was really manual and really time consuming. It was probably the biggest job that our meteorologists did day to day. So it wasn't a really good use of their time. Then one day, a year or two later, a young meteorologist by the name of James Luffman came up to me and said, "Hey Mark, come to the boardroom, I want to show you something." Something like that. And so James showed me this presentation where he had scoped out a weather forecasting system that he thought should be as accurate as the Bureau, at least as accurate as the Bureau, and would update automatically every hour. And this was like, almost seemed too good to be true, to be honest, because it would just relieve us of an enormous workload. James wanted to work on this as a project. I let him do it. A few months later, it was operational. And we called it Opticast. Well, the name came a bit later, but we've been running it for a couple of years, and we found that the accuracy was outstanding. And the beauty of this was that while TV clients and media clients in general really just want the official Bureau forecast, and that's fair enough because they all want to get the same message out to people at the same time. But industrial clients, they wanted an independent forecast. They wanted to be more accurate and more responsive. So this Opticast system, which allowed us to produce our own forecast, opened up a whole new world of possibilities for us. We found, like I said, it was far more accurate than the Bureau forecasts, and the energy industry was extremely hungry for this level of detail. So within about 2 years, I suppose, James had most of the Australian energy industry using the Opticast system. So it was a real game changer for our business. In fact, today, it's still about our clients tell us it's still about 30% more accurate than the forecasts that the Bureau are producing. So that was, a fantastic effort by James. Showed an enormous amount of initiative to come up with that idea on his own, and then to execute it, and not only do that, but sell it as well. So today we're considered the benchmark in energy. AEMO take weather feeds from about 5 different weather suppliers, but they always lean on us as the dominant supplier. We kept expanding into other areas. Martin Palmer and his team have been fantastic in opening up new possibilities. About 5 years ago, we thought mining should be an area of promise. We weren't providing, well, the mining industry in general wasn't taking much in the way of weather information at the time, but we thought they should be, and Martin got into that. Martin joined us from the British Navy, where he was a meteorologist. Turns out he was pretty good at land-based stuff as well. Within a couple of years, he's brought on pretty much the whole mining industry. We do about 300 mines around the country, and Josh and his team keep signing up mines at the rate of what, Charles? About 1 a week still. So every time we think it's a saturated market, we still get more mines coming on board. William, sorry. William joined us from the mining industry specifically for mining sales. So that's the third time we have actually done that. That's approached a market that hasn't traditionally paid for weather services, identified the product and sold that market and pretty much saturated market. We did it in TV, we did it in energy, and now we've done it in mining. And who knows what the next market might be that we'll expand into. It's really good to see that the company hasn't lost the thirst for new products, new ideas, and getting into new areas. We've expanded overseas. We're now doing business in Japan, South Africa, and we just recently launched a JV in Taiwan. In fact, our business partner from Taiwan, Dr. Chi Pong, came all the way here for this celebration. We're working on some very interesting projects over there. Our first client was the Taiwan Air Force, and the Taiwanese government is promoting the investment of something like $12 billion in the offshore wind industry in Taiwan, and that's opening up some fantastic opportunities for us. The Taiwan government is hoping to completely shut down coal-fired electricity generation in that country within the next 10 to 15 years. So weather is becoming the new fuel for the energy industry, and that's both fitting and satisfying for us, because as those coal mines gradually shut down, that will be replaced by us getting further and further into the renewables area. With our partner Solcast, and also in the marine area, we're working with a great company called Baird. I think there's some Baird folk down the back there. So the Baird guys have been working with us in Taiwan with the projects to set up the wind farms offshore. So we think the renewable area is going to be a huge future prospect for us in the future. About 10 years ago, we were 75% bought by Fairfax, and to be honest, it was quite a shock to be suddenly owned by a big corporation, because I hadn't worked in a corporation since the Weather Bureau in my early 20s. Fairfax were very supportive of our plan. Pretty tough.
Don't look at me.
Pippa, one of our early Fairfax board members. Tough but supportive. It's great to see some Fairfax people here tonight. Tom, who did the M&A, worked with me tirelessly for nearly a year, right, to get that deal done. Apparently I was the biggest pain in the butt. I wanted to sell, didn't want to sell.
Worth it, Mark, worth it.
But now Fairfax is owned by Channel 9, merged with Channel 9, so we've got new owners. Now we don't do much TV anymore. I think the expansion of the business into other areas, TV became a little bit of a victim of that success. But now that we're owned by 9, maybe we'll go full circle and we'll go back and get back into the TV area again. And I'd really like that to happen. It'd be great. So we're 4 times bigger now than when Fairfax bought the business. About 50 staff. And I know I mentioned a few people who've been heroes along the way, and there's no way I could possibly thank everybody who's helped make this business a fantastic success it is today. I think it's pretty fair to say everybody in this room tonight has made a fantastic contribution to this business, and I want to thank you very much for all your efforts over the years, and thanks for coming in here tonight. You'll see people from Weather 21 days in the early days, many early staff from this company, and I want everyone to mingle and just have a great night. Thank you very much.
I knew that I should have kept my speaking slot before Mark. That was the whole plan. I've written a whole sentence and handing over to Mark. But anyway, look, the reason I'm up here is just the event tonight is both a celebration of Weatherzone's 20-year anniversary as well as our end-of-year party. And so typically I say a couple of things at the end-of-year party. It's a lot shorter than Mark's speech, you'll be happy to know. He had 4 pages, I have 1. So do the division and you'll know it's going to be over very soon. Look, and as Mark has mentioned, and mentioned some people by name, but you can, in a service company, you can actually trace the company's success entirely back to its staff. I mean, at the end of the day, without good staff, the company really isn't going to prosper, do well, grow, and deliver good service to customers. So we're really capable today, and obviously historically as well, in being able to attract really good people to the company. And the people we've got in the business today are highly experienced, make a great contribution to the company, both individually and collectively. So a company isn't only about the individuals that get mentioned, but it's about the people contributing as part of the team. I'm pretty confident that we have once again demonstrated to staff that Weatherzone is a great place to work and enjoy their work lives. And I think that's really important in any company, but especially in a small company. I think we've also demonstrated to customers that we make a very valuable contribution to their businesses, and that's the proof of that, I guess, is the continued growth of the business, both customer base and revenue, etc. I also hope that it's clear to our owners, Mark, where are you going? That we continue to be a good investment and a good place to park their money. So we've had a lot of notable wins this year. I'm going to mention just a couple. This is by no means exhaustive or even illustrative, but one of the big things we did, and Mark mentioned the early systems probably started off like all startup companies, fairly rudimentary and then progressed over time. So the big evolution, I guess, in our history is moving all of our systems into AWS. And that means that we can actually now, hand on heart, deliver robust solutions to our clients and not worry about, well, not be overly concerned about things like outages, hardware breaking down, things like that, disk drives, disk arrays, stuff that happens on older gear. We've exported our B2C app for the first time, so the guys in South Africa are using it. We do a lot of good work in mining. The whole Peabody group, for example, BHP, etc., have all signed on. We signed on Woolworths for insurance, which is a nice milestone for us. It means we'll do much better in insurance next year. Origin Energy, Orica, Broadcast Australia, a long list. It's also true that the weather industry is becoming much more competitive, certainly globally, but definitely in Australia. And so far we have performed really well against this competition. And a good example of that is this year, I think for the first time, Qantas opened up their a tender. They invited a couple of bidders for their aviation weather services. We competed against IBM and retained that business. So that's a fairly good recognition of our ability to compete against the larger companies who've invested probably significantly more than we have. So every year we get busier and busier. I think we kid ourselves that it's the season, and when the storm season, when we pass the storm season, things will quieten down, and that's never happened for as long as I've been in the business. So unfortunately, I suspect next year will be even busier than this year. And some of the things that we've got to look forward to are some new requirements from our existing customers, new customers, more involvement and more demands from our partners overseas in Taiwan, in Japan and South Africa, and probably more competition. I think the other thing that everybody's also seen is a huge investment in both, in the company, in the people, in our systems, and our infrastructure. So we actually are really well positioned to compete. And I think testament to everybody who's here, both past and present, that we are in actually such good shape. So I would say to the current staff, now's a really good time to take a break. Enjoy the next couple of weeks of holiday with friends and family. And once again, I'd like to thank you very much for your contribution to the business during the year. I hope you have a really good new year, and welcome back on the 2nd of January, and we'll carry on doing what we do best. Thanks a lot.
Peng from Taiwan, your partner from Weather Risk, and thank you very much. I just fly back from Poland. It's winter for the climate change, and the climate change summit. Every day the conclusion is next year we should have a conclusion. Every year's conclusion is like that. And I just come back to Taiwan for one night. Then I fly to Sydney because I know our friend, you have a birthday, and I just sent a gift to you because I just remember 3 years ago my secretary got Gloria's phone call. One person from Weatherzone want to visit me, and later on Mark come to our office. And in the beginning, I just think, oh, it's just an internet company doing the website. Finally, I think it's very interesting because I have also the same background with Mark's. So I think we can work together. So we have joint venture company. And what I think, Weatherisk and Weatherzone working together, just like a black and white, no gray zone. So it's like the type. We like this type. We know gray zone. Go forward, straightforward. And I have a gift for you. And okay, I take this first. It's okay?
Sure.
Okay. This is a gift. It's a jade. Okay. There's an animal inside. And the animal is not tiger. Tiger just only bite money, right? Bite people, right? This is a bicho. Bicho in Chinese. It's a breath drop, and it bites money back. You know, this is Weatherzone. I read this, and present to Weatherzone. Congratulations on the 20th service anniversaries. Everybody talks about the weather, but we do something for that. Partnership between Weatherzone and Weatherisk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter. I need to wear gloves. That's really thoughtful. I really appreciate it so much, and well, you know, we're excited about the partnership with you guys in Taiwan, and well, let's go forward. No grey zone. Thank you. Enjoy the night.